What happens when an ever after isn't going to be happy? Hi everyone, I'm Jacob. I'm the CowHatLibrarian. And this book absolutely leapt off the shelves for me. I loved the concept, was thrilled about the fact that there was a sequel, and I discovered them both at the same time. And it is The Princess Protection Program by Alex London. As the story starts, our heroine, Rosamund, is in a deep sleep in a castle surrounded by thorns, and a prince comes and he braves the terrors of the castle and wakes her up with a kiss, and she runs off. And he's a little surprised. This isn't how the story is supposed to go. He's supposed to kiss her, they get married, they live happily ever after. Nope. Rosamund takes off. She gets out of sight, and when he charges in after her eventually, he just sees an empty room. She's gone. Rosamund traveled through a portal to the gates of a place that looks like a fancy boarding school. It's the Princess Protection Program. Well, that's not its official title. It has a more mundane name about orphans and so on. But the idea is that it's a school to rescue princesses from the circumstances of their stories, to pull them out of those horrible happily ever afters that maybe aren't so happy for the princesses involved. And that at this school, they will learn how to defend themselves in the real world, because so many things are completely unfamiliar to them. And so Rosamund ends up attending this place. She learns a bit about the chore schedule. She meets some of the other princesses and one prince who attends there. And over the course of things, she learns a little bit about their backstories that conveniently match various Disney princesses and other fairy tale princesses. And she learns that they cannot leave the castle grounds until they've graduated, because there are monsters out there. There are times monsters that come after these princesses who have escaped from their stories. And so the princesses have to stay on campus where it's safe until they've been deemed that they've learned enough, and then they graduate and carry on. Well, Rosamund sneaks out. She sees a couple other princesses leaving over the gate and out of the school grounds, and she follows them. And they eventually let her come with them. They aren't mean or anything, they don't send her back. And it turns out that they were sneaking out to a pizza place because their time in the real world has endowed them with a huge love for pizza. A strange variant of pizza with clam and pineapple on it, but pizza nonetheless. And while there, they meet 3 teenage boys who are varying degrees of scruffy and greasy, but that one of the princesses has a crush on, it seems. And their mother, who is just unhappy about the girls being there and them flirting with the boys and keeping them from doing their jobs and so on. And so the princesses go to leave, and an upon a time attacks. And one of the girls sacrifices herself to help Rosamund and her friend get away. And she's taken by the upon a time. The girls make it back to the school, and their headmistress realizes that they'd snuck out and that their friend is now gone, and she puts them to work as a punishment. And they have to do a whole bunch of extra cleaning to make amends for what they've done. And she comments that the work will help them get over the loss of their friend. Well, Rosamund finds out that the cleaning is actually what makes them literally lose their memories. Her friend can't remember the other friend that was lost. And when Rosamund hears, she accidentally overhears a conversation between the headmistress and a father of the princess who was taken by an upon a time, she finds out that the princess was saved and is going to be brought back to the school. And she's so excited about this prospect, and she tells her friend, and they're looking out for her, and she never shows up, never shows up, never shows up. But now there's a seashell in a place of display in the headmistress's office. And once Rosamund figures out that it's the cleaning that messes with her memory, she starts doing a worse job and leaves more of a mess to retain her memory. And she starts noticing other odd things. The fact that so much of the learning in this school is rote memorization that these students there have apparently repeated hundreds, if not thousands of times. By the way, they know the exact wording to every question for every lesson taught by their instructors. And she can't figure out why her friend hasn't come back and why it seems like nobody actually graduates from the school. And the story goes from there. So, I love a good fractured fairy tale, and this one was a solid effort by Alex London. I like Rosamund as a character. It was a fun take seeing her as the Sleeping Beauty archetype and her little insights into things where she puts them in terms of, well, yeah, of course I'm curious. I went looking for a spindle when I didn't know what it was, and makes references to her past life. The other references to the princesses are fun as well. I could see someone who really loved the princesses scenes in the second Wreck-It Ralph movie, Ralph Breaks the Internet, just having a ball with the little asides to the nature of the princess's true characters. That was a lot of fun. The basic premise was great. And ultimately, I do recommend it. And I'm excited to try to read the sequel here as soon as I get a chance. Now, with that said, it wasn't perfect. There are spoilers ahead because I have to talk about the deal breakers. Okay, so there are two main deal breakers with this story. And the first is me nitpicking, and I will cop to that. The cover is a mess of a composition. And I talked with my wife about it because she knows much more about art and graphic design and stuff than I do. And we went back and forth for about 15 minutes about problems with this cover's design. And the long and the short of it is that it looks like it was composed with Rosamund stepping through a doorway. And then at the last moment, the artist decided to add this stepping over the windowsill element. If Rosamund's top half is taken as is, it's just fine. She's walking through the doorway, she has her hand on the edge, and she's composed properly. If you look at her foot over the edge, it's a little awkward, but it's okay. But as a whole, her foot is way, way, way out in front of that doorway or portal, but somehow her body is in straight line with it. She has a leg on both sides, but it's not drawn to imply that she's ready to lift her other leg over it. Her cape is awkwardly fluttering way back and around the edge of that portal doorway thing. And it's a bit of a mess. I am convinced, as I said, that it was originally laid out like this, without her legs being in the image and with it just being a broad open doorway. And then they changed it. And it's maybe kids won't notice, but it threw me. I haven't seen a cover composed this badly since maybe the Great Green Heist, where it looked like a character was trying to put his hand up the cheerleader's skirt. It feels really, really sloppy and second rate, and it drags the package of this book as a whole down, which is unfortunate. Now, the second deal breaker is what I'm going to call a unicorn ex machina. As the story continues, Rosamund realizes that there is some weird stuff going on with the headmistress and all these things going on. And she learns that the headmistress is actually a fairy godmother who's sort of gone bad, that the mother of the boys at the pizza place is her sister and is also a fairy godmother, and that the three boys were actually all unicorns with magical powers who help her fight in this big battle at the end. And it got a little ridiculous, the amount of extra magical help from here, extra magical help from here, extra magical help from here, all piling on. Rosamund was a good character, and she figured a lot of stuff out on her own. And at the end, it felt a little bit like she was cheering people on, but wasn't actually making the ending happen. And that's a shame, because she was a good character. Still, I liked it. If the readers in your life are into fractured fairy tales, if they like the traditional princess fairy tales or Disney's versions of them, and they want something that expands on those ideas and just takes it one step further into a what if sort of story, this was a solid effort. I liked it. I'm going to go read the sequel, and I'm looking forward to reporting back on it. Go borrow it from your local library. Well, on that topic, if you use and appreciate the services offered by your public library, why not take just 1 minute and tell the powers that be exactly that? Tell your mayor, tell a council member, tell your MP or MLA that you use and appreciate the services offered by your public library. We're at a time where some public libraries are having trouble finding sustainable funding to continue improving the materials, programs, and services they offer. And a few good words in the right ears might make a world of difference. Now, if by some chance you're a library staff member, don't forget, watching my videos counts as professional development time. With that, thanks for listening to me take this journey on this protection program. By all means, please like, please subscribe, and please check back and see what else I have to talk about from the CowHat Library. Thank you. Bye now.